Hello and welcome to this video on everything that you need to know about box junctions for the driving theory test. Many people struggle with box junctions when they're asked questions about them in the theory test. So in this lesson, we'll go through the theory behind them, some real life examples, and then some practice questions at the end so that you can go from feeling confused whenever you see a question to feeling confident that you'll get the right answer. So without further ado, let's get started.
So, box junctions have crisscross yellow lines painted on the road and they prevent the road from becoming blocked. So they're often at busy intersections where congestion is quite common, and by having a box junction it prevents the road from becoming blocked up. So there's only two conditions in which you should enter a box junction, and there's only one condition that you should stop in them. So the first condition is that your road or lane is clear. So if you're going across the box junction and you're going to pass over it completely without stopping, and of course you can enter it because you're not stopping on it. The next point, number 2, is the reason when you can stop in the box junction, and that is if you want to turn right but are stopped by traffic coming towards you or by other vehicles wanting to turn right, then that means that you're obviously going to have to come to a stop in the box junction. That might seem quite confusing, but I've got a picture and video so that you can understand that. And then at signal roundabouts, you must not enter a box unless you can pass over it completely without stopping. So on some roundabouts, you might see small areas that have the yellow lines painted across the road with the crisscross markings, and you must not enter those until you can pass over them completely. But at a standard box junction, you must not enter the box until you can either clear it completely, or if you're turning right and you're stopped by doing so by other vehicles. And we'll have a look at an example of that now.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this short whiteboard explanation on how box junctions work. Now, box junctions are often a source of confusion in the driving theory test. However, they're quite straightforward to understand if you remember one rule, and that is that you can only stop in the box junction under one condition, and we'll look at that in just a second. But we'll start off with understanding how these box junctions work. And in order to do that, I'm going to draw 3 different cars. There we go. So if I was in this position here, and I wanted to turn left, then I couldn't enter the box junction because I will have to stop in the box junction, and I'm not allowed to do that. Similarly, if I was proceeding straight ahead, I would have to stop in the box junction here, and I'm not allowed to do that, so I wouldn't be able to enter. So in both of these situations, I'd have to remain stationary until my exit is clear, which would look something like this. So as you can see, I'd have space just about to fit in here and space to fit in here, and then I wouldn't stop in the box junction. So this would be allowed.
Hey everyone, just a quick interruption and reminder that if you're enjoying this lesson, then we have over 5 hours worth of these video theory lessons available in our 7-day course. You can find out more about this via the link in the description. So let's get back to it.
So I'll get rid of these now. If I was turning right, again, I would have to wait because my exit is not clear. So until this car is out of the equation and is here somewhere, that means as long as this direction of traffic is clear and there's no cars coming from this direction, I could complete that right-hand turn and then slot in behind the traffic here, because there's space to clear this box junction without stopping on it. And this follows on to the condition on where you can stop in a box junction. So let's suppose you're in this car here in this right-hand lane and you're turning right, and the nearest car to you is here. So we've fulfilled the condition that your exit is clear. So that's fine, I can make that right hand turn. However, there's a constant stream of traffic flowing in this direction, which means that we can't complete this right turn safely. In this condition, as long as the lights are green here, if there are light controls, then we can proceed to stop in the box junction and wait. And this is the only condition which you can enter and stop in the box junction. And that is if you're stopped by turning right by traffic flowing in the opposite direction. So once these cars have then passed and there's a gap in the traffic, so let's say those cars are now here and there's no longer any cars coming from this direction, you can obviously then complete that turn and proceed into that safe gap there. And this is the only example of when you're allowed to stop in a box junction. If you're proceeding straight ahead or if you're turning left, you must not stop in the box junction until there's space for you to slot in here and here. However, if you're turning right, there's an exception because you may be stopped by entering that road by traffic flowing in this direction, in which you stop and then wait for a safe gap. So hopefully that clears up box junctions. As you can see, they're quite straightforward to understand if you remember the principles on how they work, and just remember that key point that the only time that you're allowed to stop in a box junction is if you're waiting to turn right and you're stopped by doing so by oncoming traffic.
Great, so now we'll have a look at how it all works. We'll have a look at how that applies to a real life situation. Okay, so there's a couple of things here. The first thing is that you can see there's a no right hand turn sign on the light signal. I'd like you to ignore that. And the second vehicle that I'd like you to make reference to is the white car that's in front of the silver car in front of me. So the car 2 cars ahead, so the one that's just waiting at the signal. And watch what that vehicle does as I start the video. So that's stationary even though the light was green, and that was because that vehicle couldn't cross the entire box junction at that moment in time. And I'm just going to pause the video now because there's another important point that I said, and that is that if I wanted to enter a box junction and turn right, I could do so if I was blocked by vehicles approaching and stopping me from doing so. So if I was, for example, in the right hand lane in this example and I was turning right, again ignoring the fact that there's a no right turn at this particular box junction, in this scenario I could enter it, wait for these vehicles to clear and then proceed right. In my example, I'm actually going to now wait a little bit because I'm not clear as to whether I'll be able to clear the box junction or not. So as you can see, I'm waiting. I can now see that I can clear the box junction, and I did wait a little bit longer just to exaggerate that so that you could see it on the video. So as you can see, that's how a box junction works in reality. And you can see that both I and the few of the vehicles ahead had to hold back a little bit to make sure that we could clear the box junction. So now we're going to have a look at a few questions based on everything that we just went through to test your knowledge and make sure that you're confident to go ahead and answer these questions correctly in the theory test. So starting off with question 1, when may you wait in the box junction? And the answers are when you're stationary in a queue of traffic, when you're approaching a pelican crossing, when you're approaching a zebra crossing, or when oncoming traffic prevents you from turning right. So I'll give you a few seconds to think about what the correct answer is, and we'll go ahead and select the right answer, which is when oncoming traffic prevents you from turning right. And that is the only condition when you're allowed to wait in a box junction, if you remember from what we just went through. So question 2, you want to turn right at a box junction. What should you do if there's oncoming traffic? So the first answer is wait in the box junction if your exit is clear. Wait before the junction until it is clear of all traffic. Drive on, you cannot turn right at a box junction, and drive slowly into the box junction when signalled by oncoming traffic. So again, I'll give you a few seconds to select the right answer, and we'll go ahead and do the same. And the correct answer for this question is to wait in the box junction if your exit is clear. So if you're turning right, you're allowed to wait in the box junction, but only if the exit is clear, remember. That is the condition that you have to fulfill before you enter the box junction, and then you can wait in the box junction, but only if you're turning right and there's oncoming traffic preventing you from completing that turn. And lastly, question 3, when may you enter a box junction? So the answers for this: when there are fewer than 2 vehicles ahead, when signalled by another road user, or when your exit road is clear, or when traffic signs direct you. So again, I'll give you a few seconds. We'll go ahead and answer the question with the correct answer, and that is when your exit road is clear. So before entering a box junction, whether you're going straight ahead, turning left, or even turning right, even if you might have to wait, you have to make sure that your exit road is clear. And that's the condition that you must fulfill before you enter the box junction. And remember that you're allowed to turn right at a box junction, and unless signalled otherwise by a sign. And if you are turning right and stopped by oncoming traffic, then you are allowed to wait inside the box junction itself. So we'll go ahead and complete the quiz. And as you can see, all of the correct answers there. So the purpose of a box junction is to keep the junction clear by preventing vehicles from stopping in the path. You must not enter a box junction unless your exit is clear. However, you may enter the box and wait if you want to turn right, and are only prevented from doing so by oncoming traffic. And that covers all of those answers there.
I hope that you enjoyed this lesson and now feel confident whenever you're asked a question on the theory test about box junctions. If you found this lesson useful and you want to find more of these lessons, then visit our website. The link is in the description, where our full video course is available and will teach you absolutely everything that you need to know in order to pass the theory test. We've got hundreds of students and great reviews, so you can check it out on our website. We'd love to have you join us. For now, we look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.